If your home care company is not doing these 5 things, you should fire them immediately. Hello and welcome to the In-Home Senior Care channel. My name is Vitaly. I'm so glad you're here. There's many situations where families call us and we end up taking over the care that they've had in place with another company. But the worst part of some of this is many people actually put up with subpar care and never actually reach out and try to look at a different company or try to figure out and how to actually change and improve. They quietly just kind of put up with the subpar care that they have because they're afraid that changing things might actually make things worse. They might end up with a company that would actually be even worse than what they have. So there's an interesting question that we ask all applicants during an interview process, which really helps us to figure out who's who and why they're here and why they are interested in becoming a caregiver. And that question is, what motivates you, right? And it's kind of an open-ended question designed to elicit someone to actually give us more than one word answer, to kind of speak a little bit from the heart. And yet, I've processed this question personally many times, and I kind of wondered, if I was on a spot and that was asked of me, what would I answer? And I've had this answer for a long time, and what I come up with is, it is a one-word answer. It's excellence, right? So when somebody says, what motivates you? To me, it is the excellence. So it's a commitment to a higher standard, right? It's not perfection. After all, we're all human beings, and so perfection is not attainable, but it is the idea of looking inside and going, am I doing the best that I can, or is there better? And the answer is, there is always better, and there's always way to improve. So it's actively seeking that feedback and being able to look and go, we could do better on this or the next thing. So home care is sacred work. It's something very special to be invited into someone's home and to be so intimately involved in their care, right? After all, we're helping with things like bathing and dressing and toileting assistance, very vulnerable aspects of someone's needs and the very things that affect our dignity, right, as human beings, where we can feel less than human when those things are not addressed in the right way. And so this is where hiring a home care company solely based on cost may not be the best idea. Obviously, we're all trying to be conscious of our spending and understanding that budgets matter and how much things cost do play a role, and we have to look at that. But I remember I have this barbecue sauce that I love. It's an amazing sauce, and they have a little saying in the back of it, which I've always kind of carried with me, and it's a quote, and it says this: "Good goods are never cheap, and cheap goods are never good." And most of you know that there's a lot of truth to that statement, right? There's kind of extremes in terms of cost, but there is this statement or this idea that you get what you pay for, meaning that if you go with the absolute lowest price value type of an approach, you might not get the best of whatever it is that you're trying to purchase. And so in home care, it applies very much to the equation and understanding that when you're talking about getting care for your mom, you probably don't want the absolute bottom basement value pricing. You probably want to look for more of a reputable provider and then look from there in terms of what the costs may be. So here's 2 questions that I have for you. A, are you using a home care company at the moment? And then, are you happy with the care that they're providing? Okay, so just kind of pause on that. Are you using home care already? And then, are you really happy with what you're getting for it? So I've been in home care for over 20 years, and really this is my life's calling. I really enjoy what we do. I enjoy educating families and especially caregivers about the role of caregiving and then accessing resources. There's a lot to that because there's a lot that's offered, right? There's a lot of services, there's lots of different things, and sometimes, accessing care can have a bit of an educational component about it. You have to learn that. So families are exhausted, they're overwhelmed, and then sometimes they're just settling for the care that isn't quite good enough, right? And they're afraid to kind of rock the boat in some sense, because sometimes they think, well, at least someone's coming, right? I wouldn't want to end up in a situation where I'm trying to carry all of it. At least I've got a caregiver or something's happening a little bit. And so setting up care can be emotionally draining, right? So it's not like, you can go try a coffee shop this week and then you could try a different one next week, right? There's very low emotional commitment to that. And you go, man, I really love this coffee shop. The other one wasn't that great. Right now I found my new favorite little hangout to go do. Home care is different because you've got to come into some sort of a commitment. Even though most of us as companies don't have a long-term contract, it feels like you're entering into a relationship, and it's just not as easy to untether and to move into, a new one. So you may also just kind of feel bad for the caregiver or caregivers that you have in place from this company that will potentially lose their hours if you're going to go ahead and make a switch. So, but let me tell you this. If you're paying for home care and you're allowing a professional company to deliver subpar care for you, you're allowing them to come into the most intimate part of your loved one's home and step into, like I've already talked about, those very vulnerable situations that the care is being delivered. Excellence is not a luxury, it is just the baseline, right? Your mom should be getting excellent care if you're paying money for it. So that's kind of where I'm going today. So here are the things that you should be able to expect from your provider. So number one is availability. And I'll talk about a few different things. So availability, meaning are they local, right? Are they in your, they don't have to be right in your town. I mean, we cover a fairly large geographical area, but we have a local office where you could walk in during business hours. You can talk to our staff. You can give us a call. We'll live answer our calls. Can you reach this provider after hours if you have some sort of an emergency or something that needs their attention? Can you reach them? Are they using a call answering service, or do they have their own staff that are available that will know your situation and will be able to help you if you're calling after hours? Will they schedule a visit to come and sit with you if you have concerns and try to figure those out and make sure that your concerns are being addressed? Are they quick to respond to your needs or concerns? Are they is this something that's going to drag? Are they returning your calls? And then do they have available caregivers if you need to increase services, if you need more care? Is that a possibility? So is there a local person at the office that can kind of be your go-to, right? So in home care, so much of what we do is relationship based. And so knowing someone that you're dealing with on a regular basis will go a long way to give you a peace of mind so that you know who you're talking to. And if you have concerns, you can call that person. They will troubleshoot with you and figure out and then come back with a solution. So those are things. Two is caregiver compatibility. Caregiver compatibility is, so like if you think about it, when we set up services, that is who the caregiver is and the concern around that. What will they be like? How will they treat me? What will they do? So as a daughter or a son looking to set up care, your view is different than your mom or dad, who will be the receiver of care. They are concerned about this equation of who will this caregiver be. That is what's occupying their mind. Because again, it's a sacred space into our own home, and somebody's going to come in, and if I'm concerned that person is going to come in here and now going to order me around my own house and tell me what to do. So vast majority of the clients we sign, the care receiver is not on board with starting care. They don't think it's a good idea. They think the kids are overreacting. And this is really why. It's because there's an intimidating aspect to having a caregiver come in. Okay, and the fear of who that caregiver is, how will they help? It's a barrier for many, right? This feeds into that question: is your mom's caregiver a good fit for her? So if you have services set up if that's already ongoing, are you happy with that match? Are you happy with how that caregiver is interacting with your mom? Are they engaging with her? Are they more than just completing a task list? Are they really there to actually connecting, right? Because we look at the companionship aspect as the foundational aspect of the care that we provide, right? The relationship makes everything else work. So even though we're helping with, maybe somebody needs help with a bath, stripping the linens, changing linens, doing laundry, doing all sorts of help around the home, but it's that relationship and that connection that allows that person, allows you, the client or your loved one, to feel dignified as they're helped in, getting dressed or using the toilet or all those kinds of things that are very vulnerable. That relationship is super, super important. So we at In-Home Senior Care, we guarantee our matches with the caregivers. And what does that really mean? So it means that if your mom is not thrilled with the caregiver that we assign for any reason, we will make a change. And so that's a guarantee, because in most of those situations, if the client is not thrilled, the caregiver is also not feeling it, right? Like that situation where you're working with somebody and you can tell they don't really care for you, right? Like, we're all unique individuals, and it has nothing to do necessarily with, well, this person is just not a good person or they don't know what they're doing. Sometimes it's a personality, right? Because that connection has to be natural and it has to be really, really good. And so making sure that the compatibility match is good is very, very important. Otherwise, the rest of it is going to be strained. So that's an important point in all of this. So seniors need the connection, or what we would call companionship, even more than they need the physical care. Obviously, they have physical care needs, and those are a lot of times the trigger. But underneath that, they are starved for a conversation, companionship. And if you go to an average care facility out there, you're going to encounter people who just want to have a conversation with you, right? Because we as human beings, we're social beings and we need that. And, if you're living alone, kind of imagine that. You're not getting a whole lot of that. And that caregiver comes, that is going to be that foundational base aspect to what we're providing care. And then the physical aspects are all built on top of that, and it's all enveloped in this trust. So number 3 is honesty and integrity. Do they keep their word, right? Do you ever get concerns that you're being told something that's not being done the way it is? Is the billing accurate? Do they use telephony or some sort of a system to ensure that they know that a caregiver is actually in the shift and is actually working? Are they monitoring for the caregivers to be clocking in on time and to where they're actually there? Those are important things. Number 4 is follow through. Is the care plan that is set up for your loved one, is it being followed? Do they update it regularly? When is the last time that the care plan has been updated, right? Is the caregiver doing things that is not in the care plan, and the care plan, needs an update? Or is the caregiver not even following the plan? They're just kind of going by whatever suits their fancy for the day. Do they communicate with you about concerns? So if someone from the company, or do they even go out, do a quality assurance visit, or is there a nursing visit that happens? Do they communicate to you, hey, we've identified a red flag, this is potentially a concern, and then work with you, right? Like to see what would you like to do. Maybe this is something that your mom should see the doctor for. Maybe we should kind of look at this a little bit more. Do they return your calls when you have concerns, right? Is that an issue to where your concerns are kind of hitting deaf ears? Okay, so number 5 is actively seeking feedback. Are they asking for your feedback? Are they saying, hey, how is our care? Are you liking how our things are going? Is there anything we can improve, right? Giving you the open door to be able to say, well, we like this, but there's a couple of things we'd like to adjust, right? Those are important things. Are they interested in helping you get the best care by learning all of your needs? And that's the engagement and trying to connect and go back and forth. And then are they willing to listen when you approach them with your concerns? All these things should be super smooth and super easy for you to work with this company, because they are taking your money and are delivering on what they promised would be amazing, excellent care. And so I hope all of you who have home care are just thrilled with the services you are receiving. And if not, those are some things that you can kind of think about for potentially, engage with them, or at least try to find out more. So when home care is done, it's a beautiful thing. We see seniors who flourish with the help of a caregiver, and that caregiver becomes really a friend for them. In fact, part of the challenge that we have as a professional provider is really helping caregivers navigate the conjuncture of caregiving and friendship, right? Because the companionship, that level of care that they're providing, they're doing it for a long time many times, and so they do cross over where it becomes friendship. And so how do you maintain professional boundaries and make sure that you don't blur that line when you're an actual professional caregiver? So and clients who are flourishing, and then families who are getting the relief of knowing that they've got this amazing team of caregivers, or depending on a number of hours, 1 or 2 caregivers who are doing an amazing job, and they can really step back and play the role of family. They can come over and have a meal, they can come over and enjoy a cup of coffee, and not be tasked with all these different to-do lists that need to be done, but all those things are being provided for, and they can just play that family role instead of feeling like they're getting burnt out by the caregiving aspect. So if the care that your loved one is getting is leaving something to be desired, give us a call. We'd love to engage with you and just have a conversation and see how we could just guide you along in that process. We have helped many families get educated about the caregiving process overall, including what they are doing as caregivers, right? And then being able to actually bring in professional care. And then we do help many families fire the existing agencies they have and put in care that is going to meet and exceed the expectations that they have. So please leave a comment if you have maybe other topics you'd love to hear some topics on. We'd love to see that. If you found this helpful, please comment, share, like, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.